What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Watching Rosters, week number 2. I am your host, Cody Carpentier. You can find me on Twitter at Carpentier NFL. And we're here. It's officially week 2 of the NFL season. And we're here to talk through a bevy of your start-sit questions on this fine, beautiful Sunday. Got my morning walk in, got my morning breakfast in, got me a little bit of caffeine. And I'm setting my rosters. I'm watching rosters. I'm going to see what's going to happen here about 25 minutes when the inactives and actives come out. But I tell you what, we already got a little sneak peek into the Chicago Bears inactives list. And one of those featured players, his name is D'Onta Foreman. And he's a healthy scratch. So we're going to start right there. And we're just going to say you're welcome. That's going to be how we're going to start this morning off. You're welcome. Roschon Johnson is going to be the guy that takes that leap forward. We saw it last week with the opportunities, but most of those opportunities came in the third and fourth quarter last week. Today, D'Onta Foreman, healthy scratch. So Roschon Johnson is taking a couple steps up in the world. But some of the games today going on, Green Bay Packers travel to the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 3 right now at FanDuel. Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo's favored by 8.5 in that one. Baltimore's traveling to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by 3.5 at home. Seattle traveling to Detroit. Detroit's favored by 4.5. Remember last year, this game was 48-45 in week 5 in Detroit. Big game, but again, in that game, it was Rashad Penny. It was barely any Ken Walker. It was Jamal Williams, and TJ Hawkinson had like an 8 for 179 and 2-touchdown day in that game. And again, today now, there was no Amon-Ra St. Brown that game last year. There was no Gibbs, no JSN, no Zach, not good back, running back. All right, Chargers at Tennessee. Chargers favored by 2.5 at this point. I think that's a trap. That's an interesting game. I like Tennessee in that one. Chicago traveling to Tampa. Tampa's favored by 2.5 in that one. Kansas City at Jacksonville. Kansas City favored by 3.5, and Indianapolis traveling to Houston. Houston's favored by 1. That is your noon window of games on this fine Sunday. And then the afternoon slate gives us the Niners at the Rams. Will Puka Nacua be able to bounce back and do the same thing again? I do not think so. But we're not going to know if he's inactive or active with his oblique injury going into the 3 o'clock window, 3 o'clock central window. Niners are favored by 7.5 at DraftKings. Giants at Arizona. Can the Giants bounce back, or will Arizona continue to grind out and try to get at least one win on the season? Giants favored by 4.5. The Jets and the Dallas Cowboys, which was thought to be probably the game of the week, hence why it's in the 325 window in Dallas. No Rodgers. It's going to be Zach Wilson. You're going to be starting all of your Garrett Wilson in this game. Dallas is favored by 9 as it looks to close at Parks. Washington at Denver. I think this is a very interesting game as well. Denver's favored by 3.5 at Mile High. And then, of course, tonight and Sunday Night Football is Miami at New England. Miami favored by 2.5 in New England. I want to know if anybody can find the stat on that. When was the last time Miami was favored in New England? What's going on, fellas, in the chat? Appreciate you guys. Snowman has a good stat for us. Pittsburgh is 19-1 at home against Cleveland in the last 20 games played in Pittsburgh. Could someone explain to me why a team they blew out the last time they faced is a favorite on the road? I mean, let's just face the facts. Cleveland looks good. Cleveland looked better in week 1 than Pittsburgh did. Pittsburgh got manhandled by San Francisco due to San Francisco's defense, in my opinion. And what did we see from Cleveland in week 1? They manhandled the Cincinnati Bengals with the front 7 that was dominant. Not something I expected. They used Myles Garrett a lot at Zero Tech. They had guys come off the edge that didn't do anything last year. So it's a different looking Cleveland defense. I don't know if it's the same one we're going to see in this game, but I think Pittsburgh does bounce back. I don't know. It's going to be a good matchup tomorrow night. Monday Night Football, Cleveland at Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Cleveland's favored by 2.5 in that one. And then, of course, the other game, another divisional matchup, New Orleans at Carolina. New Orleans favored by 3. That one kicks at 6:15 Central. The Cleveland and Pittsburgh game kicks at 7 Central. I do wish the NFL would give us a little bit of a spacing between there, right? Like, why not give us like a 6 in a 7:30 or 7:45? Give us like an hour and a half, not just an hour flat, because who knows what happens in the New Orleans Panthers game. And you have a little bit of a tight gap in there. I'd love to have a little bit more of a maybe 6 and an 8. That would be nice. I know it'd be kind of late, but whatever. Maybe 5 and 7. Anyway. Kevin Weber, appreciate you in the chat. Happy Sunday, Cody. Got a bunch of mid running backs and need one out of these 5. Jay Kelly, Tell me that's not John Kelly. Tell me that's Josh Kelly. Oh, duh. No shit, it's Josh Kelly. I don't know. Sorry, Kelly, Kelley. Sorry, I was thinking the wrong one. Josh Kelly, Rachaad White, P. Ryan, Moss, or Roschon. Definitely Josh Kelly here. With no Eckler, with 100% going Josh Kelly here. After that, I mean, Rashad's got a good matchup, but Rashad has been very ineffective in week one. He was obviously very inefficient last year. I like P. Ryan, but we think the Javonte role is going to only expand. Zach Moss, putrid, and Roschon, we love him, but we just don't know what the role is going to look like, especially against Tampa Bay. Alexander Madison didn't exactly do a lot against Tampa Bay last week. I'm going to go Josh Kelly here, 100%. Great question. Thank you. CC Sharks says full PPR, Dameon Pierce or Terry McLaurin. Let me pull up the handy-dandy flex rankings, and I will answer your question based on the rankings. McLaurin, we have at 60 overall in the flex rankings this week, and Dameon Pierce is at 31. So the flex rankings say to go after Dameon Pierce in this one against Indianapolis. I think this is gonna be a solid game. Houston's favored in this one, so if they do get up early, you're gonna get a lot of that Dameon Pierce output. He looked efficient outside of Rachaad White. Rachaad White did not look efficient last week. Dameon Pierce actually did. I'm just scared of what this offensive line has in tow. But you also do look at the matchup with Washington. He's going to Terry McLaurin's going to get enough Patrick Surtain that I just want to stay away from that in general. So I'm going to go Dameon Pierce here for all those reasons. TSB World, need a flex quarterback, Russell or Baker Mayfield. Russell gets Washington at home, of course. And then Baker Mayfield, I think, he had a solid game in week one against the Vikings and kind of was the commander of that offense, as he should be at quarterback. But they are drawing the Bears in this one. Let me see kind of where we all have these guys apropos to each other. Russ, I have 25 this week. Alex and Trashman have them 19-17. And Baker, I have a 26. And these guys have them 24-22. So as a consensus, we are definitely ahead on Russ. I have them back-to-back. But Alex and Trashman have tilted the favor and angled towards Russell Wilson in week number 2. So we're going to go ahead and ride with Russ. We're going to ride with Russ in week number 2. Smitty, he's got a question about the wide receiver position. 2 wide receivers, Nico, Mike Evans, Brandon Ayuk, and DK. Let me check out my rank here. I think I'm going to go with Mike Evans for sure. For me, it's between DK and Nico Collins. I know Ayuk had a big game last week, but I think this is a Debo game. This is Debo game written all over it. I want to see where I got Nico apropos to. Nico I have at 34, and DK is at 30 for myself. Alex and Trashman have DK tilted upwards. They have him at 15 and 13. So that says to go with DK. I think the matchup is good for both guys. DK also said last week he didn't like where his energy was at in week 1, that he needs to take a step up in week 2. So there's that positive there. I'd go Evans and DK in week 2. Thanks for the question, Smitty. Appreciate you guys. If you are listening along on YouTube, be sure to click that like button, click subscribe, tap into Roster Watch. We'll be live today, tomorrow, and Tuesday every day, and Wednesday doing shows all throughout the entire season, so stay tapped in over here on Roster Watch. Sean Roberts, flex, PPR, pick 1, Roschon, Michael Thomas, or London. We're going to get a lot of Roschon questions this morning, I'm afraid of. All right, so we got Michael Thomas. We got him at 67. Drake London is at 68. And Roschon is all the way down at 144. That was pre-Deonta being moved into the inactives healthy scratch list. But I think a healthy place for you to kind of move Roschon to in this week's rankings is somewhere in apropos to running back, somewhere around the Samaje Perine area. That's probably what I feel for Roschon. So Samaje Perine, we'll use him as an example here. Samaje Perine's at 70 in the flex rankings. So I would go with Thomas and Drake London in this one. Again, I know it's tough to play Drake. It's always tough to play Drake London and Kyle Pitts, but I'm going to go Michael Thomas and Drake London here. Mike Evans, even in the rain, yes. Yeah, I'm not worried. Not worried about the rain. Not going to rain the whole game. Not going to be a tsunami. I'm not worried about that. It's also Mike Evans, who we knew was a consummate pro, and he's not going to have a problem. PPR Alex Smith says Hopkins, Pittman, Najee, or James Conner. I'm assuming you only need one of those guys. see here. I mean, we have a 57. Najee, I like the matchup this week. I actually do. It sounds weird, but I like the setup that they have against Cleveland on Monday Night Football. In this matchup, I think I'm gonna go Michael Pittman against Houston, though. Hopkins has been dealing with an injury, and they draw the Chargers, who the back end is actually pretty strong with Derwin. I think Pittman has the best matchup. We saw the targets come in week 1 from Anthony Richardson. He got 11 in week 1, went for almost 100 yards. I think you got to ride with him. Najee's he's got a good matchup. It's a tough matchup against Cleveland Browns with that front seven. And James Conner, I'm just completely out on. The Giants actually do a front as well. Bench one. Ritter, Pickett, or Baker. Bench one. Can you bench all three? Tiger, bench all. Can you bench all three? Is that literally your options to quarterback? Is Ritter, Pickett, and Baker? What league is this? What league is this, Tiger? Because this is terrible. I don't know what you did at quarterback, but you completely skipped on it the entire draft. Ritter, this week I have at 24. Who do you also have? Pickett and Baker. Baker, I have at 26, and Pickett, I have at 19. So technically, I would have you benching Baker in this matchup. That's your Scott Fish lineup. That is brutal. I'm sorry. Roshan or Zach Moss, half-point PPR. I'm going to go with Roshan Johnson in this one. Zach Moss, I know he's coming back, but I just do not. I mean, Zach Moss is Zach Moss, dude. Like, it's not going to be hard to be better than what Deion Jackson was in week 1, where he literally had 13 carries for 14 yards. But Zach Moss is not good. So I think you're going to see a little bit of Jake Funk. I'm hoping Anthony Richardson went back and watched the tape and was like, hey, man, I didn't use enough energy last week. I was lackadaisical in my rushing. And he's like, hey, my 10 carries are going to go for 77 this week instead of 40. That's my hopes for Anthony Richardson. Half point, Puka, Brees, or Judy. Worry about the snap count on Brees and Judy. Correct. If Puka is active, I think you have to play Puka just on targets alone. 15 targets last week was massive. If Puka's active, even though it was an oblique injury, the oblique does kind of scare me because it's around your hip area. So when you get tackled, it kind of matters. So a bad tackle could take him out of the game. Brees, I love Brees. Tough matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. They should have him on a pitch count. If they don't, they're idiots. And then Judy should be back. Judy, I'm the most, sounds really weird, I'm the most trustworthy of Judy out of these three, oddly enough, because we saw the output go to Philip Dorsett. We saw it go to Brendan Johnson in that game. Not really much towards Marvin Mims, but I think that if Judy comes in, Judy's the guy that could kind of like Ridley last week. Ridley was targeted heavily in the first quarter. I could see that being with Judy. And, I don't know. I just trust Judy, I think. But if Puka's healthy, you got to kind of play Puka. Skipped one, sorry. Skipped a couple. I'll go back to those. Dobbs, Anuka. Is that Puka Nakua? Sounds like Puka Nakua. All right. Dobbs, Nakua, and DJ Moore. I'm going to go DJ Moore in this one. This is a big game for DJ Moore. Last week, he had 2 receptions on 2 targets. Both those targets came within the same exact minute of the football game in the second quarter. I think they are going to go back to the drawing board and go, shit, we did not target DJ Moore enough. And they're going to do that in this game today. Dobbs is also in line for a good opportunity. I don't love it, though. I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to make me click that Dobbs button any week. DJ Moore, PPR, I think they're going to take that step forward. They saw Chase Claypool dud it out. Darnell Mooney did enough. Cole Kmet isn't going to be a consistent 7-target guy. DJ Moore, week 2, that's the guy I'm going with. Tua or Watson. So last week I had Tua pretty high. He had a good game. This week I have Tua pretty low. I have him down at quarterback 13. Deshaun Watson I have up at quarterback 7 this week. Kevin, thank you for the question. Full PPR, Wilson and Dotson or Cook? GW, I'm assuming it's Garrett Wilson, and Dotson or James Cook. Appreciate you, sir. And Hurst saved me last week. Franz, you're an OG. Appreciate you. Hurst, if you didn't know, now you know. But most of you do if you paid attention throughout the process. Garrett Wilson, Dotson, or James Cook, full PPR. Again, I've seen a lot of these questions with Garrett Wilson. I'm assuming GW is Garrett Wilson. People worried about the targets with Garrett Wilson. Now I'm going to go back. I'll just bring it up now, even because I talked about it yesterday on SiriusXM channel 87 from 2 to 4 Central with Alex. But we just kind of talked through Garrett Wilson and people being afraid of Garrett Wilson in week number 2. It's like, it's not his first time playing with Zach Wilson. I know he played with Mike White a little bit last year, but if you go back to those games last year, with what Garrett Wilson did, 8 targets, 14 targets, 11 targets, 7, 9, 8, 15, 7, 9, 9, 11, 17. Like, he got the targets. And I think Zach Wilson's if we say Kenny Pickett's taking 3/4 of a step up, I think Zach Wilson's taking at least 1/4 of a step up mentally. And that's a big part of the game. Playing with Rodgers for the last 2 months, I think, has probably helped Zach Wilson. And Garrett Wilson is still the number one, the uno there. So we've seen the big games come from Garrett Wilson without Rodgers. So don't be scared. Ride with the best talent that's on the roster, Garrett Wilson. Should I start Roschon over Gibbs or Javonte? Now that is a question right there, baby. I love that question, Overweight Lover. That's a ballsy question. That's a ballsy question because I love the talent that Gibbs brings. I don't run a bench Gibbs at all. Javonte, he looks like he's himself, but Washington also gets Chase Young back, and Washington's front is lethal with Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat. Can't forget him. I like Javonte. I love Gibbs. And I love Roschon Johnson, but I cannot start Roschon Johnson over Gibbs when I do not know what the entirety of the rule looks like for Roschon Johnson. I just can't do it. So I'm going to ride it with Gibbs. Should I start Roschon over Javonte? I can understand that one a little bit more, but I don't. I trust Javonte. Javonte looks 100% healthy. He looks, if I said Breece Hall looks 85% last week, I think Javonte looks 100%. So I just can't do it this week with Roschon. I love him. Don't get me wrong, but got to remember, last week, a lot of that usage came in the fourth quarter. I'm not saying that's going to happen this week because I'm hoping by them healthy scratching Deonta, that means Roschon's going to get more first and second quarter reps instead of just third and fourth quarter reps, right? So I don't want to see it this week. Next week, Chicago plays Kansas City, so they should be down in that game. Then they play Denver, Washington. Then we can start talking about playing Roschon. I'll play Roschon next week against Kansas City. Yes, let's do that. Not this week, though. Trust Gibbs. Trust Javonte. Josh Kelly or David Montgomery. No Eckler. Give me Josh Kelly. Deep league with a lot of injuries already. PPR. Start 2. Ingram, Curtis Samuel, Roschon, or Slayton in the flex. Tell you what, this one might surprise some people. I'm going to ride with Curtis Samuel in this game. Curtis Samuel last week looked fresh. He looked explosive. They like to use him. He got a carry out of the backfield. He had 5 targets, caught off 5 for 54. Debo Samuel. Jesus Lord. Curtis Samuel looks like he's going to be a mainstay in this offense. I know Logan Thomas and Dotson out-targeted him last week, but Curtis Samuel looked very good. I'm going to ride with Curtis Samuel in this one. People still think Ingram is going to continue this rise in Jacksonville. I don't. I think it's going to be a lot harder. I think you're going to have weird games where Ingram has a game, Kirk has a game. Ingram has a game, Kirk has a game. Zay's going to be the same way. Zay's going to fluctuate. I think the only consistent piece in that offense is going to be Ridley. Mostert or Javonte? I'm going to go with Javonte. I got to go with Javonte in this one. Mostert's got a tough schedule coming up. New England, Denver, Buffalo. I don't love any of that. I like Mostert if he can stay healthy, but I think as the time goes on, these running backs in this backfield are only going to continue to join him, and it's going to make it tougher. I'm going to go with Javonte again. Need one of these guys with max upside in half PPR. Jaden Reed, Roschon Johnson, Justice Hill, Chuba Hubbard, Tyjae Spears, or Calvin Austin. If you're looking for a max upside, you're staring Jaden Reed right in the eyeballs. I know, well, at the wide receiver position, but Roschon, I mean, if Khalil Herbert were to go down in the first series of the game, the upside belongs 100% to Roschon Johnson. But number 2 on this list is Jaden Reed. And I think that's the common piece of, the opportunity is going to be there without Christian Watson in the lineup, without Aaron Jones. So I think you have to ride with Jaden Reed in this one for half PPR because there's going to be multiple shots downfield where Reed's going to get the opportunity to take it to the house. Last week, he had an opportunity. There was one downfield that actually got hurt on. That was like a cramp up or whatever. That one, if the ball wasn't hogwash from Jordan Love, would have been, I think it was maybe like 70 or 80 to the house, 60, 70, 80 yards to the house. I can't remember exactly, but I go Jaden Reed and Roschon, kind of have them side by side. It's just tougher because, we don't know the role for Roschon exactly. Like it could be an 80-20 split still with Khalil Herbert as the focus. It's just a tough one to bet on right now at this stage of the game. Hill, Hubbard, Spears. Hill and Hubbard, not even really a question for me here. Spears is going to get the opportunities in Tennessee as far as the reps. But again, there's just other things to go on in this offense, and he's kind of being used in kind of a gadget role all over as kind of a Swiss Army knife. So there's not really a ton of upside there because they're not going to feed him like a Debo would get fed. And then Calvin Austin, of course, the opportunity is there, but I don't think there's as much upside in that offense as there is with a Jaden Reed or a Roschon. Anthony Richardson or Geno Smith. I have DK at wide receiver. Okay, I love the twist. Thank you for giving me the DK part because I would definitely lean Geno in that situation. I have Geno 8 this week and Richardson 10. It's always tough for me to say no to starting Richardson. I mean, there's only a handful of guys that I would say, yeah, you can play this guy over Richardson because it's the upside is immense there with him, and it's a guy that you can stare at on your bench, go for 38 and have that breakout. You're going to be sad as hell. Dynasty full PPR, I need to start 2 wide receivers. My wide receivers are Amon-Ra St. Brown, Keenan Allen, and Brandon Ayuk. Thank you. He said I need to start 2, and these are his options. You're starting Amon-Ra and you're starting Keenan Allen. I think it's a Deebo Samuel week. The last 4 matchups, or maybe 5, with the Rams, Deebo's went for like 133, 135, 120, and like 118. So big expectations for Deebo in this game. Who do I drop for Dak? I don't know. Can you write something else? I think you maybe got your question chopped off, MB. I don't know. Seasonal. When is it okay to drop London? I just don't see him doing very much this year. Again, like I just referenced starting him for another guy down there. And again, I know it was 1 target last week, but it's a tough situation. That's just the way it's going to be. I don't know if you can drop London until you see like 4 straight weeks with 1 target. If he gets 1 target this week, 1 target next week, and 1 target the week after that, that would be Carolina, Green Bay, Detroit, Jacksonville. Then it's like, okay. But, I mean, the talent is there for Drake London. It just all depends on what the offense is doing. Puka or Kelly in PPR flex. Kelly. Go with Kelly. Riding Josh Kelly. Yo, Tom Reynolds, what's going on, brother? ODB Jr., Odell Beckham Jr., or Rashid Shaheed. I don't know why I pronounce it that way. Rashid Shaheed. Hurst saved me last week. Johnson Robinson, your boy. Appreciate you. Odell Beckham or Rashid Shaheed. I'm going to go ahead and ride Rashid Shaheed. Remember, Mark Andrews probably going to be back this week for the Baltimore Ravens. Going to ride with Shaheed in this one for the New Orleans Saints. Explosive. Kind of looks like, I know he's got the 22 on. He looks like Dexter McCluster in this New Orleans offense. It's kind of interesting, kind of cool. Chaka says, Dobbs, Javonte, or Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton. Yeah, ride Cortland Sutton here. Smash that like button, folks. Harry Snowman knows what's going on. Click the like button. Click subscribe if you are here on YouTube. We very much appreciate that. Again, today's Sunday, September 17th. Tomorrow on the 18th, we'll be live with Top 10 Thoughts. On Tuesday, Trashman and Alex will have the waiver wire. And then on Wednesday in the coming weeks, Byron will have the trade cast. So we'll be live multiple days a week, every day of the week for you, the fine people. We appreciate you. If you are listening on podcast, please click the 5 stars on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating on Apple. With Jones out, should I play Tutu, Kyron Williams, or Sutton? Or I could get crazy and pick up Tony and play him. Whoa. I like the or I could get crazy and pick up Tony because Andy Reid mentioned it. Andy Reid said it. He goes, you know what? I think there was a little bit of rust with Kadarius Toney last week, and we think that he's fine. I don't know. You got to have some stones to trust that. I'll tell you that right now. You got to have some stones to trust this Kadarius Toney thing and be like, yeah, man, Andy Reid said that. Yeah, he's going to play. He's fine. Nothing wrong. No, we're going to play him. I like it. I like the danger behind playing that because, again, last week, I think the notes, I wish I could pull my notes up really quickly, but I can't because they're, oh, maybe I can. Here they are. Sick. All right, so here's my notes from last week with the Kadarius Toney thing. Toney has 120 yards and a touchdown if he catches the football. That was my note. If he catches the football, he's 120 yards and a touchdown in that game last week, which is completely depressing to even see and understand. If yards, right? If he catches the ball, those are the yards he gets. If yards. I think the safest way you attack this is playing Sutton. If you want to get dangerous, if your team is stacked to the gills and you're like, I trust, whatever. You got Mahomes, you got Kelsey, and then at running back, you got like, I don't know. I was going to say, you got like, I don't know. You got whatever you got. I'm trying to think of some, trying to build your roster imaginarily. Travis Etienne, and you got Tony Pollard, and you got another couple of receivers. You got a little, Devonta Smith action. You got a CD Lamb or something like this. And you're like, oh, this one flex spot, I can put Kadarius Toney in. Okay, then cool. 100%. Hit that dart with Kadarius Toney. But if you're like, I definitely need points this week, I would put Cortland Sutton in full PPR. Omar. Thank you for the question. QF stops. Who do you start this week? James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, already in a hole with A.J. Brown doing nothing on Thursday. So I have only these guys to pick one to start. Your roster's nice. I will say that, if that's your options to start, because multiple of these guys should be starting, right? I think this looks like a lineup to me. I've seen lineups with James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Wilson, Evans, and Flowers as the starting 2 running backs, starting 3 wide receivers. Plus, you have A.J. Brown. So this team's got to be in good shape. I'm going to go with Zay Flowers in this one. I think Kenneth Walker's got a solid matchup against Detroit, but I think it's a tougher matchup. James Cook, I don't think he's going to get much passing action today at all because they're not going to need it against the Raiders. I would go Zay Flowers in this game, even though Mark Andrews is coming back. I think you have to ride with Zay. Zay is the real shit, dude. He's the real dog in that offense. And I know Andrews is coming back, but Andrews not 100%. I'm not saying Zay's going to get 10 more targets, but what I am saying is Zay is dynamic as a mother, and I trust that process completely. Also, I have Pickens and Algier. I'm still riding with Zay. Ooh, Algier kind of throws a curveball into that, but I'm gonna go with Zay. Lockett, McLaurin, Dotson, Flowers, and A-Chain. Lockett, McLaurin, Dotson, Flowers, and A-Chain. Give me Flowers. JSN, Roshan, Burks. Flex 1, half PPR. Another good question. Again, Hopkins hasn't practiced at all this week. JSN thing is interesting. We didn't see anything really in week 1 to kind of build off of or kind of take away from. Again, we do have a good matchup with Detroit this week. Should be an interesting one. Jackson had 5 targets for 3 for 13 last week. But also Burks, on the other hand, Burks didn't do anything either. He only had 3 targets for like 18 yards or 20 yards or 25 yards, whatever. I'm going to feel like a real asshat if I keep telling people not to play Roshan and Roshan scores a couple touchdowns. That's going to depress me. But we're going to go with Treylon Burks in this one. Again, we're going to go with Treylon Burks because DeAndre Hopkins hasn't practiced all week. And we'll see what the inactives and actives let's say right here. But I think I'm going to ride with Burks right now. We're due for a Burks game. I love Roshan, brother. I love him. It's just tough. I think we ride with Burks. Bears saying Roshan's going to get an expanded role this week. Of course he is. Of course he's going to get an expanded role. But you don't even know what expanded role means because in the 3rd and 4th quarter last week, he didn't do anything. In the 3rd and 4th quarter last week is where he did everything. In the 1st and 2nd quarter, he hardly did anything. So the expanded role is going to come in the 1st and 2nd quarter, but you might not get it in the 3rd and 4th quarter if the game does not unfold the way it did last week and they get donkey punched by the Green Bay Packers. Titans inactives. Amani Hooker, safety. Christian Fulton, cornerback. Skoronski, who was sick, who was supposed to play. He was only out with an illness on Friday. He is inactive. Will Levis is inactive, and Colton Dowell is inactive. So it looks like DeAndre Hopkins is indeed active. With what happened to Hurts with New England, do I start Tua or play Jordan Love? I have Tua at QB 13 and Jordan Love at QB 18. I think I just got to roll with Tua in this one. Because even if they take Tyreek out of the game, he's still going to have Waddle. Smythe looked competent enough, and you got the backfield to play with still. Tua's still going to be able to push the football. I don't see him throwing 4 picks in this game. Grant Whitcraft, the realest one in the game. Appreciate you. Lockett, McLaurin, Dotson, Flowers, A-Chain, Flowers. I need a better quarterback. I have Jets defense. All right, so this is like he says, who do I drop Dak for? I need a better quarterback. I have Jets defense. Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to upgrade from Dak off the waivers. If you drop Dak, I don't know if you're going to be able to get a quarterback. Moss or Roshan? Roshan, that's the one. Roshan, there we go. You're playing Roshan over Zach Moss. Great question. Superflex question, got an ugly one here. Zach Wilson or C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's got a bum right shoulder right now going into this game, but he looks like he's going to play. We're starting to get the actives and inactives coming in right now, so I'll start reading those off as they come across the table. Clyde Edwards-Helaire active along with Kelsey and Chris Jones in Kansas City. Superflex question, though, it comes in Zach Wilson or C.J. Stroud. I got C.J. Stroud QB 23 this week and Zach Wilson QB 30. John Roberts, appreciate you. Thank you very much. Start one, Pickens, Dobbs. Pick Dobbs. Pickens, Dobbs, or Pirine. In PPR, he says. Okay, so you got Pickens going up against Denzel Ward. You got Dobbs going to Atlanta, and then you have Pirine playing side by side with Javonte. I'm going to go with Dobbs in this one. I just did that. I just picked Dobbs over Pickens, and now I can go jump off of the house. I can go jump off the roof because that I didn't think I'd ever do. Tiger, what's going on, brother? Kelly or Javonte? Javonte. I read it exactly. It's like I feel like freaking Ron Burgundy from Anchorman. I just like read it. Like I know how to say the name, but then I just read it as you spell it. So if you spell it stupid, I just read it stupid. Kelly or Javonte? I'm gonna go with Josh Kelly in this one. Dexter McCluster, what a name. Hell of a pull, right? Rashid Shaheed, that's what he reminds me of. Have a trade offer. I send CeeDee Lamb. All right, so we got Lamb and Michael Thomas for Barkley, JSN, 14 teams, half PPR. Current running backs are Javonte. So you have Javonte, Roshan, lost Dobbins, and went heavy on running back. At wide receiver. So you're trying to get Barkley and JSN and get rid of Lamb and Thomas. Half PPR. Yeah, you're kind of in a situation with no Dobbs and being heavy at wide receiver. It's definitely a dice roll to bet on JSN. I think you trust the process with JSN. I think he's going to be fine coming down the stretch of the season, but you just have to be patient with JSN. And, if you're in deep shit at running back, this is kind of the situation you're going to have to put yourself into. I got to take him. Is this dynasty? If this is dynasty, I would definitely try to get some picks on the other side in your favor, like a second or third, just a little bit of gas there in case something does happen. But if it's seasonal, I think you just have to be able to swing moves like this. It's fine. It sucks. I don't want to get rid of a talent like Lamb, and I don't want to get rid of a guy that was a value in Michael Thomas, but you need running back, dude. Otherwise, you're going to sink yourself. That's just straight up. You got to do it. Thank you for the question, Daniel Schaffert. Kevin Weber says Danny Dimes or Dakatron Pacatrot. Got Dimes 14, Prescott 21 this week. So we're going to go with Daniel Jones with a bounce back. James Cook, Montgomery, or D-Hop as a flex in PPR. Give me David Montgomery. Same question. Or Damian Pierce. Let me check quick. I don't have that one in my head. Pierce or Montgomery? Pierce, Apperto, Montgomery. Montgomery, I have 26. Pierce, I have 17. There you go. Pierce. Flex 1, PPR. London, Roshan, JSN. JSN against the Lions. Let's go with it. You're in a tough spot, Raul. I could understand if you went Roshan, but I'm going to go with JSN. Burrow or Tua today? Burrow. Burrow's going to bounce back. He has to bounce back. Tua's got a tough matchup. We talked about that earlier. Matt Cassie says, getting dangerous and sitting Cooper in a 3 wide receiver set with Pierce and Stevenson in the flex. Running backs are Bijan Mustardson and Tony Pollard. Have to start our boy Tank Dell. I love to hear it. Congratulations, Matt Cassidy. That's awesome. I actually like that. Cooper's got a tough matchup. So, no, he doesn't. I thought he. Wait. Cooper does not have a tough matchup. What are we doing here? I don't know why. I just imagined he had a different matchup than he did. Why are you benching Cooper against Pittsburgh again? Can you tell me this, Matt? Teresa, Gibbs, Walker, or Algier? Gibbs. If that's PPR. If it's half PPR, then I go with Algier. Would you start Puka over Tank? I mean, as far as targets go, if he's active, yes. But I think Tank plays in the early window. No? Tank plays at 1 o'clock Eastern, and our boy Puka plays at 4:05. So you're not going to know if Puka's active or not. So he also matches up. Again, Puka's also going to get a lot of Charvarius Ward, who's a top 5 corner. So you got to be careful with that. People kind of forget about the cornerback side of things. But Tank's a tough matchup, dude. It's a tough one to just bet on Tank because Tank really hasn't done anything. He had 5 targets last week. Noah Brown had 5 targets. Noah Brown's hurt. So it's expectation that he'll get more. But also Robert Woods had 10 targets. And Nico Collins had 10 targets. So I could definitely see a world where Tank, it's kind of a little bit of a squeeze there. Hopkins is expected to play on Fantasy Pro, says Aaron. Isaiah Spiller shocked the world today. You are blocked. Just kidding. I'm not going to block you. Isaiah Spiller just sucks. Tampa Bay plays the running back well. There may be some room between the tackles for Roschon, but I'm not sure the Bears' offensive line is going to allow the Bears to capitalize. Correct. As well as Kalijah Kancey's not playing for Tampa, and Kalijah Kancey was a menace last week against the Vikings in the interior. He donkeyed Ed Ingram more times than I can count. Hopkins officially in. All right, now I need to pull up Twitter because all the inactives are rolling in, and I've definitely not ahead on that. So we got to continue to do what the show is called. Watch rosters. We're watching rosters. Who is active? Who is inactive coming into week number 2? Let's see. The first list I see is not from that guy. Let's go to Shefty. What's Shefty got for us? Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are officially inactive today, as is David Bakhtiari, which was a big note in last week's game because him playing, you could tell he had a completely different feel for this offensive line, and then the offensive line was playing entirely different with him lined up. Let's see. I don't see any more. Let's see. Got to get the inactives list. Where'd it go? CJ Stroud, who was listed as questionable for today due to shoulder injury, is officially active in this one, per Adam Schefter. Twitter sucks these days, dude. You used to be able to get a whole list of these guys. Just nothing anymore. Chargers, Austin Eckler is inactive. Eric Kendricks, Deion Henley. That's it on the defensive side of the ball. Let's see about anybody else. Joey Bosa's active. Ravens, Mark Andrews is active. Chase Claypool is active, but wide receivers will route a bit more this week. So Tyler Scott's an interesting one. I talked about Tyler Scott on the Sirius show, and Alex played the Trashman song on me, which doesn't make any sense because Tyler Scott literally had a target on the first drive of the game last week, and I think that's going to continue to stay in line. I don't know. I don't get it. But Tyler Scott looks like he's better than Chase Claypool. Yeah, I just said that. Velus Jones is also active for the Bears today. Equinemius St. Brown, inactive. Deonta, like we talked about before, inactive. Tyson Bagent, quarterback, inactive. Clyde Edwards, active with Kelsey and Kelsey and Jones. The Ravens, no Linderbaum, no Stanley, no Humphrey, no Marcus Williams. But they do get Mark Andrews back. Bengals, no Chris Evans, so that means more Travion Williams and maybe some Chase Brown. No Jackson Carman on the offensive line. Joey Bosa is active for the Chargers today. And that is all I have for the current updates as far as the actives and inactives go. I'll see if I can find some more as we go through here and finish up these questions. Zombie says, hello, I was wondering if I should plug in Romeo over Pittman because Dobbs should be getting volume as the number 1. Thoughts? I think he sucks, but I understand the target share. Pittman also had 10 targets last week. You can trust that process more than I think you can trust Romeo. Remember, Luke Musgrave still exists, Jaden Reed still exists, and A.J. Dillon does know how to catch passes out of the backfield. I want to see Jordan Love have a competent week before I put Romeo in the tier of Michael Pittman. Yes, thank you, Snowman. No, Zombie. No. Run. Hide. Pittman. Play. 2 flex. Judy. Hollywood. A-Rob. Whoa, A-Rob. A-Rob has entered the chat. Kyron Williams. Tight end, Higbee and Njoku. Tight end, you're going Higbee, targets. The 2 flex spots, Hollywood, you're going to go Hollywood. I think he's going to have more than 5 targets this week. I think they're going to need to force him the football. And then it's between Kyron and Judy for me, and I'm going to go with Judy. So we're going to go Judy, Hollywood, and then you're going to get your Rams fix in with Higbee. There's Goff and Brock. And I'm assuming this is so dropping Dak to get a defense. You're dropping Dak because you have the Jets defense and you want to add a quarterback. I wouldn't drop Dak, but I guess if you can get Goff, I would get Goff. Why not? Romeo Doubs ain't out. It's not about him being out. It's about him being completely below average. Pat Freiermuth or Hurst. Give me some Hayden Hurst, baby. Every week, Hayden Hurst. Again, I know the matchup is tough, but what was the theory before the whole entire season? The theory was targets. Always targets. Leading the team in targets. Opportunities. That's why we roll with Hayden Hurst. I know you're a real football fan. Appreciate you, MB. Pick 2, Reed, Burks, or Elijah Moore. Reed and Burks, my friend Dre. Raul, appreciate you. Thank you. He's questionable. Cooper is possibly not playing on Monday. I'm not really worried, to be honest with you. Unless this is like, what did I miss something with Cooper about? Like, I didn't see it being it's questionable, not doubtful. Aggravated groin during Saturday's practice. All right, so that's cool. I was at a wedding yesterday, and obviously I missed this. So sorry about that. My apologies. Aggravators groin Saturday's practice. Kevin Stefanski, who had no further update. We'll see how he does over the next 48 hours. Cooper had core muscle surgery over the offseason. Okay, sorry for that one, Matt Cassidy. That's completely incompetence on my level. I'll take full credit for that one. Yeah, so then, 100%. You got to go Tank Dell then. But I would say if Robert Woods is available, I would be okay with taking him for the week. Just due to targets. It sounds pukey as hell, but that's kind of what you have to do in fantasy sometimes to go with the pukey route, is that Robert Woods is going to get those targets. I trust Tank, and I want Tank on my roster, but yeah. Charveris is a beast. Facts. Okay, from my question earlier, I said 2 flex. Would you start Dobbs in flex over one of the 2 other guys? Sway, I got to scroll back. I don't know. All right, so he said, would you play Dobbs in the flex over one of the 2 other guys you picked, who was Judy and Hollywood? I would play Dobbs over Judy. Tua or Watson? Watson. Half-point PPR flex help. Hopkins or Kelly? Delvin Cook, or Roshan? Delvin Cook or Roshan? PPR, Dalvin. Half PPR, Roshan. DK or Ayuk for my flex spot? DK, anonymous. Side-eye Muppet says T-Law or Lamar to start. Give me Lamar, baby. Half PPR flex help. Hopkins or Gabe Davis or Roshan? Gabe Davis. Is it a Roshan day, says Nick Tabs? I sure hope so, even though I've gotten asked the question, Roshan or this player, 18 times over the last 44 minutes, and I've had to say the other person's name over Roshan in 14 out of this 13 options. It's kind of depressing me, but I do think Roshan gets an opportunity today. Again, they said his role is going to be expanded, but people need to understand that their role expansion is not going to come in an overall number. The role expansion is going to come in overall rep output, not in statistical output, because the statistical output last week came from the 3rd and 4th quarter. So you just got to temper your expectations while also understanding that there is upside with Roshan. Who should I play in the flex this week? Breece Hall, Judy, or Algier? Algier. Sit 1 PPR. Miles Sanders, Montgomery, or Breece? Sitting Breece. Zombie, thank you. Appreciate you. Also, Broncos, Browns, Giants, or Bucks D this week. Appreciate it. Let me pull up my defensive ranking, and I'll tell you. He's got Broncos, Browns, Giants. Broncos, Browns, Giants, or Bucks. I got the Broncos the highest. I have them at defense 9 this week, and I got Cleveland at defense 10. I'd probably roll with Denver just because it's Washington as a tiebreaker. Dotson or Lockett? I'm going to go ahead and ride with Dotson in this one because I do think he's going to get a little bit of Surtain, but I think Surtain's going to be mostly on McLaurin. Musgrave or Laporta? Have a lot of exposure to the Seattle-Detroit game today. Geno Lockett in the lineup already. I don't mind playing Laporta. We saw what the tight end did last year to Seattle. 8 for 179, 2 touchdowns from Mr. Hawkinson. So I'd be okay with playing Laporta in this one. I also love Musgrave. You have stacks in that game, ride with that game. Go with Laporta. I understand it. I like it. Don't think there's a big difference. JSN or Zay Jones. JSN also in that Seattle-Detroit game, or Zay Jones against the Kansas City Kittens. I'm going to go with JSN. A.J. Dillon or David Montgomery in half-point PPR. I'm going to go A.J. Dillon just because the backfield is his. I think it's close. Trust it, my brother. Thank you. PPR, Kendrick Bourne. Appreciate you, Matt Cassidy, by the way. I'm just saying that. I appreciate you. PPR, Kendrick Bourne or JSN. Give me Kendrick Bourne. Tua or Fields. I believe I have Fields. I don't even think I should check this, but I think I have Fields. Yeah, I have Fields. Going with Fields. Romeo Dobbs or Chris Godwin. I'm pretty sure I have Godwin up. I don't think I would ever put Dobbs ahead of Godwin. Yeah, we're going Godwin here. Godwin. Full PPR, Christian Kirk, Jaden Reed, Bobby Trees, start 12 league, need 1. Yeah, man. Upside goes Reed, floor goes Woods. I'll let you make that choice, Franz. If you need upside, you go Reed. If you need a floor, you got Bobby Trees. Thoughts on Kendra Miller this week? I just want to see him. I just want to see him in the lineup. I just want to see him healthy. You're not going to play him in any format unless you're dead in the water at running back in Dynasty. Then maybe you will. But I would not touch him with a 10-foot pole, nor if it was 10'6". If it was a partial lineup, QF stops. If it was a partial lineup? Oh, yeah. Back to your roster. I was going to say your roster is disgusting. So yeah, it's partial lineup. That makes sense. You had my brain in a tizzy for that one. I was trying to think through that one. Dylan, Mike Williams, Flowers, or Judy in half. Thanks, Cody. I'm between Dylan and Flowers here. Let's see what Trashman has. I want to check on Trashman, see what his difference is between Dylan and Flowers. Dylan is at 34 and Flowers is at 55. All right. In flex, I don't do a flex ranking, so I just do the positional rankings. Trashman has a flex ranking. That's why I check on Trashman's rankings. So he says Dylan or Flowers. That's kind of where I'm leaning between in half. I think you have to lean towards Dylan here. I think that's the kind of the angle you have to take, and that's exactly what Trashman says too. Glock, Purdy, or Jackson, full PPR. Wow. I just want to let that one sink in. That's a real question. I appreciate that's a good question though. I appreciate that one. I'm gonna go with Jackson though. Hopkins or Mike Williams. That's actually a really badass question. The fact that that's even a question tells you how far Brock Purdy's come. So great question, Jamal, but I will ride with Jackson. D-Hop or Mike Williams. Mike Williams looked like garbage last week, but you have to play him. He looked like garbage last week, dude. But he's healthy. That's the thing. He's healthier. Is that an update on? So there's your thing, Matt Cassidy. If you're still listening, you were right. I'm an idiot. Cooper is unlikely to play versus the Steelers on Monday Night Football. Browns or Colts D? Browns. London, Zay, JSN, or Elijah Moore? Elijah Moore. Dog 316, Franz knows what's up. Appreciate you guys. Click that like button, click subscribe if you're still tapped in. Stay tuned in. We're almost done here. We'll be here for another 3 minutes. So if you got a question, make sure you get it in ASAP, Louie, because I'm about to click end on this bad boy so I can set my own rosters. James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Rashad White, Tyler Algier. I'm going to go with Tyler Algier and Kenneth Walker. PPR drop one. What? Drop one. Breece Hall, Gabe Davis, or DJ Moore? You're dropping Gabe Davis, brother. That's all I got to say about that. Half point PPR, P. Ryan or Roshan. Justin Disharoon. Full PPR, Flowers, Dobbs, or Judy. Give me Flowers. Big Meech. Musgrave or Kincaid, half PPR, facing Dawson Knox. Musgrave or Kincaid. Go with Musgrave. London Zay, Jason, Elijah Moore. Ray Gamer, David Montgomery versus Seattle at home, Jamal Williams versus the Panthers, Josh Kelly versus the Titans, or A.J. Dillon versus the Falcons in standard scoring for my flex option. Give me David Montgomery against the Seattle Seahawks, baby. Matt Cassidy, you're not an idiot. Loud firing at you. Just wanted your thoughts, brother. Appreciate you. Hey, thank you, Matt Cassidy. Thank you. Keep me on my toes. One more from Jamal. I'm leaning Bijan, but what do you think, Bijan or ETN? Let me check out the rankings. This is a very close question. If you ask the team at RosterWatch, ETN, Alex has him 8. I have ETN 2 this week. Trashman has him 7. Bijan, Alex has 5. I have 6. Trashman has 4. So in total, we have ETN at 6.83 overall at running back this week and Bijan at 7.33. They are literally, quite literally, back-to-back with Saquon in between. Can you not play both, Jamal? Can you please play both? Or do you have like a McCaffrey? Do you have a Pollard? Do you have a Chubb? Do you have somebody else? Because I don't know why you're not playing both of these cats. You need to be playing both. Can you answer that question quick? I'm going to pull back up the good old Twitter, or as some call it, X. And I'm going to see what the inactives look like, see if I can find some lists. Game day inactives. Here we are. Talked about the Bears already. What do the Bills look like? Looks like there's no real adjustments. Wide receivers, Khalil Shakir, Deontay Hardy, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, and Trent Sherfield. Inactives for the Raiders, Aiden O'Connell, Jacoby Myers officially out, and of course Chandler Jones. For the Bills, DeMar Hamlin's out again, Kareem Elam's out again, Jermaine Ifedi, the guard, is out. For Houston, no Jalen Petrie, no Jimmy Ward. So again, that leans more and more into our boy Michael Pittman. Laramie Tunsil's out in this one as well. Mike Boone inactive for the Texans, which means more passing work for Devin Singletary. People don't even know Mike Boone was in last week, got a lot of the third down opportunities. The Colts inactives. Juju Brents again, out of Tumway, out of DeBore, the defensive lineman that we love out of Northwestern. For Detroit, Isaiah Buggs and Taylor Decker both out on the offensive and defensive line. Let's see if there's anything else here. Jamal says, I have Chubb. Wow, your team's loaded, dude. I wish you had, if you have 2 running back spots in a flex, I mean, I would fit all 3 of these cats in here, but I understand. I guess what I would say is you probably just roll with, God dang. Damn, man. Literally, Chubb. We have Chubb running back 3 overall. ETN running back 4 overall. Bijan running back 6 overall. That's literally what our week looks like for the running back position. So you're kind of in a win-win no matter what you do. I wish you could start all 3, but I guess I would lean Bijan. Even though I have ETN running back 2. See, you get my brain in a freaking tizzy with that one. That like Bijan, ETN, come on, man. I have ETN running back 2. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. Wish I could be more of help to you. That's literally 3 of the best running backs in football. Ricardo Worrell, full PPR, sit or start or drop. I'm assuming that's Hurst and not Hurt. Hurst, Laporta, Musgrave. Sit, start, drop. I don't want to drop any of them. I would start Musgrave this week. I would start Musgrave. I would sit Hurst, and I would sit Laporta. I wouldn't drop any of them. Judy or Hopkins? Give me Judy. Hopkins, Connor, Montgomery. Oh, he picked 2. Montgomery and Hopkins. Godwin, Impossible Rain, or Dobbs. Godwin. A.J. Dillon or Gibbs in full PPR. Gibbs. Bourne, DJ Moore, London. DJ Moore. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's one of the toughest questions you're going to get, man. Thank you for that. Flowers or Algier? Flowers or Algier. If it's PPR, I'm going Flowers. If it's half, I'll go Algier. Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, pick 2. Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, pick 2. Garrett Wilson and I really want to go Mike Evans here, but I want to go Zay. Garrett Wilson and Zay. Seth D-Wald in the building. Appreciate you, dog. What's up? Woo woo. OG, thank you. Full PPR for QF stops. That was from a question before. Oh, for this one. Full PPR. Wilson and Zay, man. Gotta go Wilson and Zay. Daniel Jones, Watson, or Carr. I think I have Dimes is the highest out of these guys. Let's see here. Pull it up for you. See if said Watson, Jones, and Carr. I have Watson QB7, Jones 14, and Carr at 22. So Watson. PPR pick 1. Dobbs, Moore, Dotson, or Puka. PPR pick 1. Dobbs, Moore, Dotson, or Puka. I would go Moore. Hopkins or Mike Evans? Evans. Elijah Moore, Juju, Boyd, Nakua, half PPR pick 2. Moore and Nakua. What time does Cincinnati play? Is that the... I don't have my fucking schedule up now. I think that's a noon game, right? Yeah. Yeah, you have to make that choice on Boyd earlier than later. I think you have to play Nakua and Elijah Moore here. Thank you for the question, Fernando. Thank you all for staying tuned in, staying tapped in on this fine Sunday morning. Get your lineup set. Keep watching these rosters. And we'll be back next Sunday with the same thing, same time, 10 a.m. Central Time to get you what you need on Sunday mornings, your start sits. Make sure you tune in, tap in, RosterWatch.com, become a pro or premium member. Get the rankings, get the DFS tools, get the Las Vegas tools, get the algo, get it all, RosterWatch.com. Tap in at Carpentier NFL on Twitter. Like I said, I'll be live tomorrow with top 10 thoughts from Sunday. Tuesday, we'll have the Waiver Wire Show with Trashman and Alex Dunlap. And then Wednesday, during the season, we'll have Byron with the Tradecast. My name is Cody Carpentier. I appreciate you guys all. And like I said, as always, we'll get one last question in. Jimmy, he wants Cortland Sutton, Kendrick Bourne, or Drizzy Drake London. The answer for this week between Cortland Sutton, Drake London, and Kendrick Bourne is Kendrick Bourne.